Hey guys, how's it going? And I'm back to review the second installment in the Goosebumps movie franchise, Goosebumps 2 Haunted Halloween. So I'm not going to do the anime strategy this time, except for the scoring. Not going to break it down into. Okay, I'll just break it down into story. So, first of all, going into this movie, I had no idea what to expect. The first Goosebumps, um, it was an epic film, but how are they going to follow it up? Well, it turns out that they did a great job with the sequel. It looked kind of um, like it looked kind of strange at first, but after watching this, it was a very solid sequel and a very solid follow up to one of the most epic movies of 2015. So the original cast did not return for this film, and R.L. Stein, Jack Black, spoiler alert, is only in this movie for a short period of time, but when he's in it, he shines. He is both funny and really brings a lighthearted tone to this movie. Another pro that I have to give this movie is this feels like Goosebumps. The first film, even though it's good, it's not. It doesn't feel like Goosebumps. It feels like a entirely different franchise. Now, this is strange because this had a smaller budget than the first movie. 35 million for this one and 50 million for the first. So it explains why it seems lower budget when a sequel is usually supposed to be higher budget, bigger, and more epic. And this film does retread the first film with its like creatures taking over the town type plot, but they actually executed it better than the first movie. And the characters, they feel like they could be in a Goosebumps episode. Starting off with Sonny, he is a nerd and he wants to do an essay on Tesla to basically bring Tesla's factory to life again, which later becomes a very important plot point in the story. So, he is also accompanied by his friend Sam, and they both run like a basically junk collecting business. It may sound weak and kind of gross, but the two actually have a very believable friendship, and it is kind of refreshing to see a genuine bond between characters. Now, these two actually feel like they could actually be best friends in real life. And that's really pleasant to see. It's not cliche. It doesn't come off as forced. These two actually feel like they're in a brotherly relationship. And so anyway, getting a little carried away. Sam is also a very interesting character too. He can be really funny at times, and also is very adventurous. He goes into this old haunted house looking for treasure in a way that actually makes him kind of brave to go into an old abandoned house, knowing that there could be like spiders in there or obviously rats. And that character is one of the um, one of the best characters of this movie by far. And then we have Sonny's sister, who forgot her name in this movie, but she's actually cuter than the first girl from the first movie. No offense to Hannah from the first movie, but she actually is a much more interesting character and kind of relatable in her stress and wanting to get out into the world and explore, trying to go to new places, start her own life. And I'm going through that same struggle right now, and it's refreshing to see a character going through the exact same struggles that I'm going through. And I really wanted to see her succeed. She's really a highlight of this movie. She makes some dumb choices, but she's still a very interesting, likable character. And it was heartbreaking to see her boyfriend cheat on her. Speaking of which, her boyfriend is kind of cool at first. He appears to be a nice guy, but twist, surprise, surprise, he's actually a selfish jerk, as stated in Monsters vs. Aliens by Joy Normica. In fact, this is kind of like a retread of that movie, but it's very well handled. So, I mentioned Slappy in the first movie, and how he was a great antagonist. In this one, they kind of give him a character arc. He wants to have a mother because R.L. Stine let him down in the first movie. And this time, even though his plan is a complete rehash of the first movie, it still gives the feature a little identity and separate from the original. And Slappy is a more developed character in this movie. Then there's Walter, who is the love interest for our main character's mom. He can be really funny at times. When he's turned into a creature, he basically works for Slappy, and he can be really comical and funny at times in his bumbling choices. Like he messes up constantly when Slappy gives him an order. It's hilarious. The mom, she's okay. She plays the role of the mom really well, being a strict and very overprotective mom. And kind of reminds me of the episode of The Haunting Hour, where basically the pilot episode where the mom from that episode gets a giant-sized doll of her daughter and starts treating her like that, like she's her daughter instead of the real daughter. So eventually the daughter turns into the doll and the doll turns into the daughter. It's basically like that type of storyline. Although it is kind of cliche and does come off as kind of forced. It's the same cliche, like the antagonist is fooling one of the characters and later it's revealed that she's been tricked and she turns against him, and basically that. Now, getting into the CGI. Now, I pointed out that the CGI in the first movie was breathtaking. The visuals from the praying mantis to the abominable snowman looked realistic. They didn't look like they came out of a page of a book. They looked absolutely realistic. Like, they were actually there, and the animators really did a good job at pulling off a realistic abominable snowman and a giant praying mantis. Here, it doesn't change. Even though this is a lower budget movie than the first movie, they still pull off the visuals of the creatures, the abominable snowman, the giant gummy bears, really well. And it's really surprising. This is a lower budget movie, and they're able to do something better than what they did with the higher budget movie. What also separates this movie from the first is its creative design for its creatures. Like, sometimes it won't just use the traditional creatures like from the first movie. It'll use like Halloween decorations, like spiders made out of balloons, and even giant gummy bears, which is very creative. So this movie does have its originality, and have to commend it for it. The climax at the end is a way better climax than the first movie. It's really epic to see the girl character at the top of the Tesla Tower. It's very epic, tensious, and extremely entertaining. So at the end, R.L. Stine gets sucked into a book that Slappy wrote, and that kind of hints at a third movie, which I hope will happen, and it'll be all about R.L. Stine. So, overall, Goosebumps 2 is a way better movie than the first movie. It is a great sequel, even though it's lower budget, and it has some extremely likable characters, good CGI even though it's lower budget, and It's highly memorable. Totally recommend it for any Halloween fans. And it feels like Goosebumps. Get Goosebumps just saying that. If you're a Goosebumps fan, you'll definitely get a kick out of it. Time to give this the pro. There you go.